Welcome, everybody. I've got another show here about the Crypto.com CRO token. I had a question in the comments about what happens if Crypto.com runs out of tokens to pay the 20% interest. And that was a tough one because I'd have to go read the white paper. I did that. I looked through some of the help support pages, looked at other information that I could find, and there's nothing that addresses that directly. So the best I could do is come up with a calculation to do some math to try to figure out what would happen. So um, if we think about it, Crypto.com has 500 million tokens per year that they're going to be giving out. So that comes out to about 1.37 million tokens per day that they're going to be paying out in rewards to subsidize the network to get it, jump started. So that way, people will invest in it and start using it for whatever. So basically, to process all the transactions. And so I kind of did some math there. So 500 million, if they paid out 500 million and they ran out at the end of the year, how much would that be in tokens that they would need to have staked to max out those rewards? And I came up with a figure of about 2.5 billion tokens would have to be staked in order to earn 20% back using those 500 million that were set aside. Now, of course, it can go higher if you lower the interest, or it can go lower if you raise the interest, right? And so we saw that yesterday or recently, we had interest rates as high as 40 or 50%. I think today is about 40%. Yesterday, I saw a tweet by one of the crypto.com, I think the COO or one of those guys, was saying that they have 1 billion tokens staked already. So today is probably more than that. So if they reach 1 billion tokens staked and we're at about 45% ish, more or less, it's kind of giving credence to the calculations that I was doing in that. So if we do reach 2.5 billion tokens, then we'll go down from about 45 ish percent down to about 20%. And so that sounds about right. So let's say then that more people than or we end up staking more than 2.5 billion tokens in our DeFi wallets. What happens then? Well, of course, we won't be getting 20% anymore. We'll be getting 19, 18, 17. It'll go down the more tokens that we put in. So you might be thinking, well, that's no good. That's a problem, right? And you're right to some extent. See, the thing is that it's auto correcting because once it reaches a level that's not good for you, let's say, for example, it reaches 12% interest. Well, at some point you're going to be looking at other investments somewhere else that might be paying you more interest than the 12%. And so you're going to take out your CRO tokens and cash those out and put them somewhere else, right? So when you do that, the interest rate will go back up to something else, like 13%, 14. And so in a sense, it's auto correcting in that it'll reach some sort of stable point at which the interest won't go any lower because people will cash out and go somewhere else with their money, or invest somewhere else. So there will be an equilibrium point that we reach if we do go beyond 2.5 billion tokens that are staked. So that's my best guess. Now, at the end of 10 years, what happens if once we use up all 5 billion tokens that are set aside for the rewards? So I was looking at that, and so the validators are making between 85 and 90% because they have their, what do they call it? Their commission is about 10%, 15%, depending on which validator you're using. So we get per transaction, like when you load your wallet, we're getting about 0.0001 CRO fee, right? So if we're getting 0.0001 and the commission for the validator is 10% of that, then they're getting 0.00001. So 1/10 of that they're getting. So as you can see, it's not a lot, right? So it makes sense that the validators would have to process a ton of transactions to make it worthwhile for them and to make it worthwhile for us. So that is the long term, and I think that's why Crypto.com has set up that fund to make it work for 10 years, so that way it drives up the volume of transactions. So I mean, in 10 years, um, you know, compare uh, compare Bitcoin at year 0 versus year 10. There's a big difference, right? So CRO is now, T minus or T plus 1 or a couple days. It's more than a couple. It's been a week already. Plus 7 days, I suppose, 6 or 7 days. Okay, 10 years is a long ways away, and by then it should be a busier network with USDC coming up. Um, well, hold on. Let's look at what is coming up in on USDC that we know of so far. Of course, we know about the Visa transactions happening, that they're going to be using USDC to settle. So I did see an announcement somewhere that they're working on making the USDC token native on the CRO blockchain. So it won't be working through Ethereum very much longer. Once the USDC comes on the CRO token, then it's going to be, of course, faster, and it's going to be cheaper to run. And so you can see that there's going to be some Visa card transactions running through there, right? Of course, CRO payments for merchants and other deals. Of course, trading does use CRO tokens as well, and of course, there's NFTs, and then just people making payments for other things using the CRO token. And of course, there's tokens that are tied up in staking for your card. There's tokens tied up in getting rewards for your purchases and all kinds of transactions. So uh, theoretically, there's going to be millions of transactions, perhaps daily or perhaps whatever, and so that should produce the 0.0001 transaction fee, and multiply that by millions of transactions, and there's where we would get compensated for our investment in the network. And of course, if it doesn't pay enough, then you unstake, and whoever's left over running the network gets paid more. So it's kind of a game of a chicken in that regard. But that's what I've figured out is the best explanation of what would happen if Crypto.com ran out of tokens to give away. So I don't think they're going to pay out the 20% uh, starting like the 500 million, and then run out by the end of the year. I think they're going to slowly pay them out daily. So I'm pretty sure they've budgeted that 1.37 million tokens per day to give out in rewards, rather than um, trying to give them all at once and then running out in October. You know what I mean? So that's my best guess, and my best guess according to me and my calculations. Which I was okay at math in school, not great, just okay. So take that with a grain of salt. So that I hope that explains everything for you. That's the best I can come up with. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.